Hey guys, I'm here with our UFC. It's like an Apex card. What is it? Sterling versus Zalal card picks and predictions. But before we get into that, as you can see here, UFC 327 as a rough card. We didn't do too good, right? We went like what, three and what is that? 3-9, pretty bad. All things considered, it could have been worse. Disaster classes have to happen if we're just gonna make master class after master class. That's all I'm saying. Um, for the most part, the worst parts were the fact that we picked like decision for all of them. Like Kelvin Gastelum lost, yeah, but Tatiana Suarez actually won by submission, and Gamrot won by submission also. Um, yeah, but it is what it is. Things happen. Yuri Prohaska, I don't really want to talk about it. It's a really sad fight. But anyways, we're still very much in the profit. We're still very, very much in the green. So we're looking to make a big profit on this card. Actually, not so much, but it is what it is. Let's start from the bottom of the card all the way up to the top. So we have Talita Alencar versus Julia Pilastri. I'm not okay. So I forget to tell you guys. A pick is what you should hypothetically put money on if you were to bet, and a prediction is what I think is just going to happen. And of course, never gamble because you will lose. This is just for educational purposes only. But I have made a significant amount of money doing this. So let's get on to this card. We have Toledo Alencar versus Julia Pilastri. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not putting a pick on this because I don't have enough information on either of these people. I don't care. I'm just going to go with the one with the better record, 7-1-1 compared to 14-5. Toledo Alencar via boring decision. I'm not going to be watching this. I'm sorry. Next we have Max Griffin versus Victor Valenzuela. I've seen Victor Valenzuela. He's pretty good. He's like a pretty hard hitter. Like he just swings in the pocket. Um, shit. Sorry. He swings in the pocket. And Max Griffin, of course, also a pretty good boxer himself, but he's gotten old. And I'm still saying Max Griffin because he's had close decisions recently with good fighters like Chris Curtis, And Chris Curtis isn't a great fighter, but he's a good boxer. Um, yeah. Max Griffin, he just has that UFC experience. He's been here for a while. Victor Valenzuela, I just don't trust the fact that he lost 4 fights. Granted, I didn't watch those 4 fights, but I assume that those are regional, like they're not seasoned veterans like a Max Griffin would be. He's just a regional guy. They're just regional guys that Victor Valenzuela lost to, and I don't think that Max Griffin. I think that he would be way too crafty against someone like Victor Valenzuela. So I'm going to say Max Griffin takes it via decision, but I don't have a pick on this. That's just my prediction because I'll never trust Max Griffin. All right. Next fight we have Francis Marshall versus Lucas Brennan. I am going with Francis Marshall solely because he had a very good fight against Myron Santos. A lot of people thought he won that fight. I need to look back at it, but I assume that if you're good enough to be robbed by or rob Myron Santos, you're pretty good. Like, yeah. Francis Marshall, I mean, he's just a good grappler. He's got very, very, like, crafty submissions. Lucas Brennan, I think, is just some random guy. I think this is a short notice fight. But he's lost to not very good fighters. 11-2. Francis Marshall, 9-3, but it's not a very good, like a telling 9-3. He's a very good 9-3. So, all right. I'm going to go with Francis Marshall moneyline as my pick. My prediction is going to be Francis Marshall be his first round submission. Next, we have Jafel Filio versus Cody Durden. This is actually a pretty fun fight. Jafel Filio, both flyweights. Cody Durden on the come down. Jafel Filio on the come up, of course. This is going to be a fun fight. But I'm going to side with Jafel Filio. Cody Durden just hasn't looked good. And who was his last fight again? Because he really got messed up against someone who wasn't like a notable name. Nyamjargal Tumandebro. That was a rough fight to watch because Cody Durden really got messed up, and it's actually a pretty quick turnaround. It's been like a month or so, maybe 2 months. Um, yeah, it's like how many fights has he lost in a row? He beat Matt Schnell, but Matt Schnell's not great. And then he lost to Van, and then he lost to a couple other guys on like a 4 fight losing streak. Jafel Filio looking good. He beat Clayton Carpenter. Just a solid fighter, and he almost beat Mokaev, and I just trust him in the sense that he's definitely a better grappler. Maybe not pure wrestling technique, but he's definitely a better grappler than Cody Durden, and his striking is gonna be way more rapid than Cody Durden. I'm gonna say that Jafel Filio takes it via decision as my prediction. My pick is going to be Moneyline Filio. So next we have Mayra Bueno Silva versus Michelle Montague. I'm gonna go with Michelle Montague via decision as my prediction. I'm gonna pick her as well, money line, simply because Michelle Montague is 7-0. She's a better fighter. She's just way better. I mean, Mayra Bueno Silva is on a completely crazy downtrend. She got a title shot, which is insane to me. But if you look at her record up to that title fight, she hasn't fought anyone very good. Um, and Raquel Pennington did pretty well against her, and Raquel Pennington's pretty bad as it turns out. Michelle Montague, just a up and coming fighter. I mean, she beat Luana Carolina. I think that makes you eligible to beat Mara Buena Silva, in my opinion. Also a PFL fighter, so pretty good. 7-0, younger, not on a losing streak. Michelle Montague moneyline over Buena Silva. Next we have Jackson McVeigh versus Cedric Dumbass. I'm gonna have no pick on this. Let me make that very fucking clear. Because there is no chance in hell I'm going to put money on Cedric Dumbass. However, I am going to predict if Cedric Dumbass will win via TKO. Jackson McVeigh, we don't know how good he is. Cedric Dumbass, we're very familiar with how good he is, or how bad he is, rather. But Jackson McVeigh, we don't know because he just got dominated in his 2 fights. And sure, he looked okay, but surviving doesn't really mean much. And Bruno Silva isn't as great as we completely thought he was. You know, Cedric Dumas, he's beat people. He's beat people for sure. I'm trying to think about who Cedric Dumas beat because they weren't very good either. But he lost to, okay, but let's just get into Jackson McVeigh. He lost to Zachary Reese pretty hard. Um, and he lost to Bruno Ferreira by an armbar, which is kind of crazy. Cedric Dumas actually had a no contest with Zachary Reese, but I remember it was just like a net shot, not a big deal. Cedric Dumas beat Cody Brundage, yeah. Lost to Josh Frim, lost to Nerzelton, lost to Oleg Zachek, lost to Dante Johnson. These aren't bad losses, but neither is Jackson McVeigh's. But I'm gonna trust that Cedric Dumas is like a explosive enough fighter, and he's got good hands. His defense is shit, but Jackson McVeigh doesn't have much to offer. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that Cedric Dumas just has a little bit more in him. You know what I mean? I think he has a little bit more that he has to try to ping someone's head down. It's like a bee outside trying to get in my window. Yeah. I'm gonna say Cedric Dumas via TKO in like the first or second round as my prediction. No pick, however. Eric McConaughey versus Rodolfo Vieira. This is an interesting fight. Eric McConaughey, complete can. Rodolfo Vieira has the potential to lose to complete cans. I'm going to have no pick on this. I'm going to pick Rodolfo Vieira just simply off the fact that he is a stronger fighter. I think he's going to be able to take it to the mat. And Eric McConaughey doesn't have anything else to offer besides, I think he has okay striking defense and just striking in general. He went to the third round against Baisinger Susurkayev. Rodolfo Vieira, he gets pinged pretty easily, and I feel like he can get pinged on the feet. But the moment it gets to the ground, it's all Vieira's world, and we're gonna have like a really, you know, we're gonna have a performance where it's like, oh yeah, that's like a vintage UFC performance where a jiu-jitsu guy is actually gonna be good enough to beat a modern MMA guy simply because this guy is complete shit, Eric McConico. So I'm gonna go with Rodolfo Vieira via first or second round submission. No pick, however. Next, on up to the main card, we have Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spann. Also a what do you call it? Also a jiu-jitsu guy versus a not so good guy. But this time around, I'm not saying that. Ryan Spann has beat good people, and he's been looking all right. He's a much longer fighter. Marcus Buchecha doesn't he's actually has pretty bad wrestling. Whereas Ryan Spann, I trust that he's not going to get taken down. I think he has good hands. Well, not good, but they're fast. Marcus Buchecha is going to crumble. I'm going to pick Ryan Spann money line. I'm going to predict that Ryan Spann takes it over Marcus Buchecha via a decision. I'm going to say he takes it via decision. I just don't trust Marcus Buchecha to do anything. I could see Ryan Spann really crumbling against the fence, but I don't know. I think this is a pretty easy fight to predict. I don't think Marcus Buchecha's UFC level. He just is here because of jiu-jitsu. Probably fucking Joe Rogan gave him a hand job or something. Ryan Spann, money line and prediction via decision. Next we have Raoni Barcelos versus Montel Jackson. Also a pretty interesting fight. Montel Jackson, a hard fighter to gauge these days because he's fought people, but you know, Damon Blackshear is actually not that good, you know. And he lost to Figueiredo pretty handily, and Figueiredo's like 8,000 years old. So is Raoni Barcelos, but so I'm gonna say Raoni Barcelos is gonna win by crafty takedown, smudging decision as my pick and prediction. Raoni Barcelos, I think he's just the better fighter. They're both pretty big. Raoni just doesn't have that much power in his hands, but he does swing. So yeah, Raoni Barcelos via crafty wrestling decision, and I think that I think that Montel Jackson's actually not as good as we thought he was. Next we have Davy Grant versus Juan Adrian Martini. I'm gonna have no pick on this because Davy Grant is old and he just got knocked out, but he's very crafty. I'm gonna say that Davy Grant takes it via crafty decision. I think Juan Adrian Martinetti, it's just a little bit of it's too big of I wouldn't say step up because he's 17-1, but I'd say it's more of it's too unfamiliar for someone like him. That's a hard fight to get as your first fight. You know what I mean? Yeah, but Martinetti very good. He's got good power in his hands. He's got pretty good wrestling, or rather grappling. But so does Davy Grant, man. Davy Grant has that too. And I think it's going to be a pretty Davy Grant decision over Juan Adrian Martinetti. Yeah, that's what I'll say. No pick, however. Next we have Rafa Garcia versus Alexander Hernandez. I'm kind of done with not believing in Alexander Hernandez. He's pretty good. I think that Rafa Garcia's strengths are going on the front foot and really boxing him up in the pocket. It's hard to get Alexander Hernandez in the pocket. He is a very, very quick fighter. He's got fast hands, but more importantly, his movement, man. Against what's his name? Diego Ferreira, he was just on the outside. Like Ferreira really needed to reach to start to hit him. Where Hernandez was just he was just out there until he landed that one shot. I think Rafa Garcia's got a good enough chin, so I don't think it's gonna be a huge worry for him to get knocked out. And Hernandez is, I don't know, he's not gonna get I don't think he's gonna get like a crazy opportunity to put him down. He might, but I'm gonna predict that Hernandez takes it via decision. I'm gonna say that Hernandez money line as my pick though. Just a lot of reasons why Rafa Garcia is not going to win that fight. He's just not as good. He hasn't fought as good as competition. He hasn't beat the better competition. Hernandez is on the way up. Rafa Garcia beat an 8,000-year-old Gordon. What's his name again? Not Aaron Gordon. That's a basketball player. Jared Gordon. Norma Dumont versus Jocelyn Edwards. Interesting fight. I'm not going to have a pick on this because I don't know. I do actually know a little bit about these two. They're pretty good. Um, but I don't know how exactly good Jocelyn Edwards is because she has moments where she looks great. She got slammed in the last fight and almost lost, by the way. But Jocelyn Edwards really has it in her to just like slither her way into a position where she's going to win. And Norma Dumont is pretty clean, you know. She might be too clean for someone like Jocelyn Edwards. So I'm going to say Norma Dumont via decision, but it's a very unconfident prediction. That's why I have no pick on this. Yeah, not much else to say. I'm not a big fan of women's bantamweight, but we'll see. And our main event. Sorry guys, I gotta make this video fucking quick because I got shit to do. But our main event, Aljo versus Yusuf Zalal. Aljamain Sterling, of course, former bantamweight champion. Yusuf Zalal, former Ilia Topuria victim. I'm gonna say Aljamain Sterling via. I'm gonna say Aljamain Sterling money line as my pick. My prediction is Aljamain Sterling via decision. The reason why it's a pick, however, is because Aljo is such a good grappler that it's going to be tough for Yusuf Jalal unless he really tries. It's going to be tough for him to not get submitted, right? And if he doesn't get submitted, then he's just going to be caught on the bottom. I think that Aljo is just such a skilled grappler and such a seasoned grappler at this point. I mean, he took it to a decision against like really good fighters like Brian Ortega on the feet first of all, but also on the ground. He took it to a razor close decision where I thought he won against Movsar Evloev. And Movsar Evloev, as it turns out, he can beat pretty much anyone except for maybe Volk, on the ground, right? He just chooses to box because his boxing is just, it's good enough, right? Aljamain Sterling, of course, his striking's not great. But just think about the Yusuf Zalal fight against Calvin Kattar. Aljamain Sterling fucked up Calvin Kattar. I mean, he was just slamming him, picking him up. Aljamain Sterling is just a much stronger guy compared to Yusuf Zalal, who's a bit of a pipsqueak. He can take people down, whatnot. But I think in a grappling match, which I think this is going to be because neither of these guys have great striking. In the striking, I think it's going to be going to Yusuf Zalal because of his movement, and he's able to pop that jab, whereas Aljamain Sterling is always going to have to be on the forward, and he's not even actually that great on the forward pressure. But I think that Aljamain Sterling, once it gets to the fence, it's going to be a double leg, lift him up, slam him down, Aljamain Sterling on top. If Yusuf Zalal tries to scramble, it's going to be a sunken submission or an attempt, and then it's going to keep going. Scramble, scramble, scramble. Aljamain is always going to scramble, even if he's at the bottom. Scramble, scramble, scramble. He's going to flow up to the top position, and then he doesn't really have any ground and pound that's like super, threatening, but it's just there, And Aljamain Sterling is just a tough guy to fight. It's a big step up for a grappler. I think this is an Aljamain Sterling classic. Aljamain Sterling decision. Aljamain Sterling via money line is my pick, however. So yeah, that's our UFC Sterling versus Zalal card picks. Yeah, bye bye.